Welcome to Psychic Talk with Sara and Jay. My name is Sara Green.
And I'm Jason. We're co-founders of Lighthouse, where psychics and scientists work together to build a better world.
Jason, I'm so excited to be doing these videos with you again. It's been a while.
It has.
So the last time we met, we were doing Dispelling the Myths, and I swear these episodes were about an hour long. People were falling asleep, I'm sure of it.
I was probably falling asleep doing them, but they were fun to make, but I think simple and short is the way to go.
So today is the first episode in a new series of videos called Dispelling the Myths, and we've got some great topics in store for you guys.
Such as consciousness, Lucifer, the goddess, secret societies, and one of my favorites, UFOs.
But before we delve into those topics too deeply, let's talk a little bit about ourselves so the audience can get to know us better. So Jason and I met over a tarot reading about 15 years ago, and it was my first psychic reading ever. It was an awesome reading, but I was nervous going into it, but you made me feel comfortable. So comfortable, in fact, we've been joined at the hip ever since.
Very true. Call it fate, call it destiny. But one thing for certain, it wasn't a meeting by chance. We realized that our sole mission was to build a lighthouse to illuminate a path so that other empaths could find us and help build a better world.
So after that first reading, Jason and I got together all the time. And every time we met, we were getting messages, a lot of messages about human evolution and that it was a critical time for humanity. And we were asked to build a lighthouse. We were asked to gather the children of light. And then we were told we would be meeting these scientists who had advanced technology to bring healing and freedom to people everywhere.
It was a tall order, and at times it was overwhelming and even confusing. We would say to each other, how are we going to meet scientists or build a lighthouse? But lo and behold, both scientists showed up at my reading room table.
That is a longer story for another time, but the point is we met the scientists and together we built this nonprofit organization called Metaphysical Lighthouse. We understood that there was a real need for bridging science and spirituality. So I began documenting all of the guidance that we were getting, and then we would share it with the scientists. And at the same time, Jason and I started looking for the children of light, who we realized weren't children at all, but it was anybody who has a lot of empathy. I think the word empath was starting to become a buzzword at that time.
It really was, and I had taken notice to the reading room and realizing that 90% of the people coming for readings were empaths or psychics themselves, with a common theme of feeling misunderstood, not supported, and not being able to express their paranormal experiences amongst friends and family. So we took it upon ourselves at that time to start a meet and greet.
So we were really excited to get these empaths together, and they were very excited to be there too because they felt comfortable and safe to share these experiences that Jason was talking about. And you know, they were able to talk about being super sensitive to vibrations, and it was something that they just couldn't share with people in their family or their friends. So we knew we were building something important. So eventually we created an 8-step program to help empaths understand themselves and their gifts and, be more empowered in mind, body, and spirit. And we realized we were taking on a huge challenge, but we were excited to be a part of something much bigger than ourselves.
We really were. And, our scientists were there every step of the way. At that time, they realized through our contact experiences and our guidance that these predictions have come true. So the evidence was there for them. Furthermore, they realized through going through the program that without consciousness and empathy, any advanced technology would only fail because of a lack of compassion.
Now, since we started meeting and documenting all of this guidance, there was one message that came through time and time again. It was how important it was to build this bridge between science and spirituality. And I'm going to ask Jason to explain what that really means, or actually, why is it so important to bridge science and spirituality?
Well, the false propaganda that has been placed on psychics and all things metaphysics has labeled them a pseudoscience, and that alone keeps scientists away from exploring. The reality is, a lot of it is not pseudoscience. And pulling it together is pulling together solutions, whereas leaving it apart will keep us in a deadlock.
And I just want to say that consciousness is one of those words that most people don't understand, especially scientists, because of all of that false propaganda about spirituality and psychics. So the simple explanation for consciousness is that we're all connected to one another. And the best way to expand consciousness is through empathy.
And one of the questions that scientists will have, because they're engineering in mind, is how do you engineer consciousness? What is consciousness? How can I work with it? If we follow the simple steps through empath and also bringing people together, it leads to genetic engineering, which will identify a psychic gene.
That is so exciting. I really can't wait for that to happen. And I think what we're doing today is dispelling the myth that scientists would actually want to work with psychics.
I love that.
And I'm also thinking that the word psychic and psychics could be the topic for our next episode of Dispelling the Myths. What do you say?
That sounds fabulous. I can't wait to dispel the myth around that word.
Me too. Thank you for joining us today for Psychic Talk with Sara and Jay, and we look forward to seeing you next week as we dispel the myth about the word psychic.
Thanks for coming by. See you next week.